Good morning, respected Director Sir, Deputy Director Madam, Honorable Speakers, and the audience. My very warm greetings to one and all. Majestic and loud, he stands high and proud. Big but cute, brainy and also funny, the greatest asset of nature. Had size mattered, he would have been the jungle's king. Heartrending it is, mowing him down for money in his way. Wishing all of us a very happy Elephant Day. Let me, without any further delay, start off with today's events. May I request our respected Director and APCCF, Mr. Udayan IFS, to give an introductory address.
Morning, everybody. Glad to invite three speakers for the day. Today is a very special day as far as wildlife is concerned, especially Indian wildlife, a very, very prominent flagship species. We need to take all efforts to protect and conserve this species. We have three speakers who are going to talk about the biology, the management aspects, the challenges, and the way ahead. My association with all three of them has been very long. I'm happy to see all of them here joining AIWC in having this webinar. I'm sure will really benefit. Hopefully, a lot of forest staff as well as students are participating in today's webinar. So they'll be having lots to convey to us, and after their sessions, I'm sure people can ask questions and have a quick discussion, clearing some doubts wherever it exists. I just have to say just one thing about the elephant, because I'm sure the other speakers will talk about it. There is a theory that elephants and humans are very similar in their evolutionary kind of history, with in one particular aspect especially, that is the sexual maturity is delayed as compared to many other species, both in humans as well as in elephants. It's slightly delayed, and also that the reproduction does not go until the end of lifetime, which is again very similar to humans. They say, at least in humans, they have said it is important evolutionary adaptation, because the young human beings can take care of the other smaller siblings. If they were also to be sexually mature, they wouldn't be spending time in taking care of the young ones. Similarly, the older adults who have passed the reproductive age, they also participate in taking care of the young. So this is to ensure the success of their siblings as well as their own family members. So I think this can be seen in elephants also, that they also adopt a very, very similar thing. Of course, it's a theory which has been put across, but this is something to note about how elephants and humans are very, very similar. And we need to do everything possible to protect this species. In fact, it's very sad sometimes when you see elephants moving into new territories, or the same thing happens, they become locally extinct in certain areas, because when they move into new areas, it automatically means there is disturbance, and you will find them moving away from certain areas also. So it's not an ideal situation at the moment across the country and maybe across the world also. But we need to take all steps to conserve this fantastic species. So I once again welcome all the participants, and especially our three speakers. I'm sure we'll have a very good session today. I hand over once again to our host to continue the session. Thank you so much. I look forward to the session. Thank you.
May I now request our Deputy Director, Madam, Dr. Kanchana IFS, to give her welcome address.
Shall I start? Hello.
Sir, good morning and good morning to the participants. Here we are organizing this Elephant Day webinar on behalf of AWC. We are organizing many such programs, offline mode and online mode. This year is actually a good for us. We have received a lot of support in terms of projects, so that we are implementing various activities one by one. Among other activities, this day is one event webinar for Elephant Day. We really thank the three participants. Readily agreed the moment we called for your speech. Thank you so much. I request the participants to hear carefully and take few points to home takeaway points for your implementation, for your day-to-day activities, so that we have to do, as our directors have said, we have to do thousands of things to save these flagship species in order to conserve for the long-term strategies. Thank you so much. Without delay, we can start.
Moving on to our main session. Over to you, sir. Dr. Nagarajan Bhaskar, Assistant Professor, MSc, MPhil, PhD, PDF, Department of Zoology and Wildlife Biology, ABC College, Mannam Pandal, Mailadurai. Please, sir.
Okay. Shall I share the screen?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Is the slide visible clearly in full screen mode?
Yes, sir. It's fully clear.
Okay. At the onset, I thank Tamil Nadu Forest Department, especially the director of Advanced Institute for Wildlife Conservation, for giving me the opportunity to be a guest speaker in the auspicious day of World Elephant Day. In this occasion, I would like to share the behavioral ecology of Asian elephant that I have studied for more than 2 decades and what implication it has for conservation. And before really getting on to the topic concerned, to give a flavor about what the status of the elephants in Asian elephants in Asia, or what is the global population distribution, is that it is patchily distributed across 13 Asian countries. And the population is about 30 to 50,000 Asian elephants in the wild, and captivity there are about 12 to 13,000 elephants. And it has been categorized as an endangered species by IUCN. The Indian population is that it has been distributed in 4 distinct regions, like Northwest and Northeast, there's a East Central and Southern India, and we have a small population of feral elephants in Andaman's Islands. And population, as per the 2017 census or synchronized elephant census, it is about 30,000 elephants. And captivity in India harbors about 3,400 to 3,600 elephants. And regional population in the country, Northeast holds about 1,100 elephants, and Northwest about 2,000 elephants. Eastern India is about 3,000 elephants, and Southern India fortunate to have the highest 14,500 elephants. Altogether, India supports about 30,000 elephants in the wild, and the population trend over the years showing an increasing trend. So the next topic that I would like to touch upon is that the uniqueness of elephant feeding and its physiology. The food Asian elephants, being the largest among the terrestrial animal, weighs up to 5.5 tons or about 6 ton body weight it reaches, and it has a digestive efficiency which is less than 50%. It can just about digest 48% of what it eats. The large body mass itself makes the elephants to feed a wide variety or large quantity and wide variety of food. Over and above, the poor digestive ability is making the elephants to still depend on large quantum of food to meet their energetic requirements. And therefore, elephant needs to feed up to 5% of body weight, means about 250 to 275 kgs of green fodder is the requirement of an adult elephant. And they are also in need of water up to 200 liters a day. And to meet these large needs, they have to depend on large natural habitats, which is ranging from 700 to 1,200 square kilometer. The higher the resources per unit area, the smaller the area requirement, or the lower the resources per unit area, the larger the requirement. As they have to feed so much of food on day-to-day basis, they devote large proportion of the day. The activity pattern show major time spent on feeding, about 70% to 50% in different habitat, varies from 70 to 50%. Time spent on feeding is lesser in disturbed areas than in undisturbed areas, indicating need for undisturbed habitat, so that the elephant requires the adequate food within the stipulated time available. And that time spent varies in relation to season. They spend more time resting during the midday and less time on the morning and evening, especially during dry season, when the temperature is very high during the midday. And similar is the situation in other habitat, dry town habitat. Also the activity, feeding activity, which is shown with the vertical black hatches, showing very low trend at the mid of the day, indicating that when there is a high temperature, elephant goes for resting. Therefore, the environmental condition influence upon the time spent. And apart from that, the human disturbance also matters in the time spent or activity pattern of the animal. So therefore, it is the feeding constraint, the large body mass and the poor digestive ability, making the elephant to depend on large quantum of food. Over and above, the social organization of the elephants is something very unique. Socially, elephants are quite complex compared to other animals. Their social structure different, where females live in a complex social group with a strong social bond, which is called, the group of elephant is called clans or herds, which is consist of bond groups and family units. Whereas males usually leave the maternal herd at maturity and largely leads a solitary life with weak social bond with other males and female herds. And therefore, there is uniqueness in the social organization of elephants, that females lives in a social group, whereas the male lives in a solitary life with weak social bond with other males and female herds. The in-depth social organization of female herd is that females live in a matriarchal society. Matriarchal society is nothing but the oldest female is the leader and who decides about where to move or how to move to different places. And therefore, it is called a matriarchal society. And the elephant herd or clan, what we call it as, consists of many related females, and their young ones belong to several bond group, which is here shown as at the bottom. A large congregation is called a clan or herd, which is consists of many related females and their young ones. And bond group, the one on the right top is a bond group, nothing but closely related females. It could be sisters, two sisters, or two, one's adult female or mother and its reproductively matured female, and their dependent young ones together form the bond group. And then the next social organization is the family unit. Family unit is nothing but mother and its dependent calf. Here, what you see on the left-hand side top family unit 1 is the adult female and it's a dependent calf. The calf cannot survive the mother and therefore it is a dependent calf. And at the resource crisis time, they can split up to the level of family unit, whereby you can see two individual alone. And when when family unit joins together, bond group forms, and several bond groups or related females together forms the herd or clans. Further, members of the group or members of the herd split often, and therefore group size cannot be used as an identity. We cannot say the group of 6 elephant or group of 8 elephant, because morning sometimes when you see, you can see a bigger herd. By afternoon, they may split into smaller herd, and therefore group size should not be considered as a identity for differentiating various elephant herds. Mean group size is larger during the wet season than in the dry season, to avoid competition. As you can see in the bottom chart, where you have a group size on the x-axis with whereby you have larger group sizes during dry season, going up to 7 group sizes up to 12 frequency in dry season. And then as the group sizes increases, especially wet season, you find a larger group sizes of up to 27 or 32 going in high percentage during wet season. Therefore, group size varies according to the resource availability. When resources are abundantly available, they are in a form a bigger group, and when resources are in short crisis or short supply, they break into smaller unit called bond group or family unit level. Females mostly remain with their maternal herd throughout their life until otherwise something happens to them. They don't get splitted away from the maternal herd throughout the life. The females continue to live with the maternal herd. Thus, herd always comprised of related adult females and their offsprings of both the sexes. Unlike all other herds of herbivores that we see in elephant, the herd members are always related, especially females, and their youngs are always related, except that males may be from some other herd. Unrelated members, even calf belonging to other herds, are not permitted. You cannot just, because one calf get isolated, you cannot just like that go and introduce to any herd so that the herd will accept to say. So unrelated members are not accepted as part of the herd. So this is something very unique and posing some kind of a constraint in management. When we come into the male, males around the age of 10 to 15, what we say puberty, when they attain the puberty, they leave the maternal herd gradually, and not all of a sudden. Gradually, they may take off for a few days and then come back and join, and then they may go for a week or 10 days and then come back and join. So at around 12 to 15, they permanently disperse away. At time, they also form bachelor group. Adolescent males disperse from maternal herds and settle down away from maternal range to avoid inbreeding. This is something again, very remarkable in elephants. To avoid inbreeding, the males disperses away from the maternal range and then settle down in a new area, which has management implication. Like we need to have larger area males to avoid inbreeding. If we have more elephant habitat or elephant landscape getting more and more compressed and elephant density is increasing, then we are likely to have males dispersing within the maternal herd and then start breeding within their relatives, which may cause its own consequences on the long run. Therefore, a large landscape is required for the management of elephant population without inbreeding. Coming on to ranging behavior, the third part of this one elephant behavior is that clans and the bulls, what we say the female herds and bulls, adult males, have their own home and do not simply wander across the population range. This is something that not like wild bees or zebra, what we see in African savanna elephant habitat or African savanna habitat or African landscape, where the entire subpopulation of wild bees migrate from one area to other area, uses the resources and comes back. Here in Asian elephants, we do have every clans have their own home and they restrict their movement within their home range. They don't simply wander all over the elephant habitat or elephant landscape. Home ranges are smaller in undisturbed optimal habitat than disturbed suboptimal habitat, indicating the need for maintaining a habitat with the optimal resources so that the elephants can have a smaller home range and thereby the elephant landscape can support a higher population. Higher the anthropogenic pressure means that larger the home range and the landscape cannot support a large area. Here on this one, you can see right-hand side, the elephants that I have we have radio collared as part of the BNHS study during 1990s, monitored for 3 different years, and they are sticking to the same area. This is one of the clan that I have studied in Mudumalai. This is another clan that studied in Mudumalai. Both of them are almost ranging in the same area. That is something. Now, this is the elephant home ranges of female herds that we have studied in northeastern India, especially northern West Bengal, where you can see elephants on the eastern part of northern West Bengal having a smaller home range in intact forest area than in the fragmented forest area on the western habitat. There is another elephant which is ranging on the very extreme eastern part of the fragmented habitat, which is also showing higher range compared to the one which is ranging in the intact region. So therefore, intact habitat or habitat consolidated habitat is needed elephants to range in a smaller area. When habitat gets fragmented, it ranges much widely. This is a male range. Males, unlike females, do not have a much energy requirement per unit area, and therefore they range in a smaller area. But when they come into must, they really shoot up a large area of their home. And unfortunately, all the elephants that we have studied, only one elephant came into must that showed the long range. So for males, it is not the resource availability which influence on the home range size. It is the season, whether it is a must or non-must season, decides about how big they range. And then range fidelity, ranging behavior. Clan show strong fidelity, as I already said. The one of the female that we have studied in Mudumalai showed a range towards the western part of the Mudumalai, where it goes up to Bandipur and Wayanad Wildlife Sanctuary, and ranged up to the border of the Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve at present. And all the 3 years it is restricted within the same area by and large. And the seasonal every year they also came into the same spot. And the corridor that they used within this area also very specific. They don't randomly move. The fidelity is something that they show loyalty, or they have a very high loyalty or truthness to their home, seasonal home, and range corridor that they used. And the clans also have social hierarchy. This is something that not very much known to many people. Social hierarchy in the sense not all the clan members in the population are equally having a right. Like there are certain clans are very dominant and they have a better access to resources than the other clans which are subdominant. And therefore, there is a difference of resources. Resources which are factually available are also defended by a dominant clan against the subdominant being using those such areas. And therefore, this kind of a social hierarchy or resource defense resulting in spacing. Spacing is nothing but a given patch is always been used by a given clan. When the clan A moves from place 1, the clan B command uses, and therefore a given space is used by overlapping clans on a rotational basis. And this has a lot of implication for management in the sense, though resources in a given patch could support more than a clan, hierarchy among clans and the resultant spacing without temporal overlap, resulting in need for large areas for clans to range without social stress. If the area gets more and more compressed, clans, they cannot space themselves in such a way that they can avoid each other. So if they are encountering more and more the other clans, there is going to be a higher stress. If there is going to be a higher social stress, that will also be affecting their reproductive ability and thereby population on the long run. So in order to have a long survival or long-term survival of the species, we need to have a large landscape without much of a disturbance, and traditional corridors cannot be converted into human habitation and create elsewhere and expect the elephants to use, because they show a strong fidelity. If the traditional corridor gets disconnected, they will try to continue to use the same corridor, in which case conflict will increase. If this one is going to be the block of corridor is going to be so strong, if the elephant cannot cross, and the same elephant will not use another corridor, rather they will restrict within their available habitat, in which case it is expected to have higher pressure or higher impact on their own habitat, and changes the forest, wooded forest into savanna habitat, which will also affect on the long run their own population. So there is also a difference, a upgrading difference between female and male, which is imposed by the kind of ranging behavior and social organization what they have. As females live with the maternal herd throughout life with the social hierarchy, resource defense, spacing, and range fidelity, makes females born in a non-raiding herds do not raid crop as long as their home is intact without habitat loss or fragmentation or degradation. And if at all elephant herd is raiding, it is because of any of these factors. Either habitat, its major habitat is lost, or major habitat is fragmented, and therefore moving between the habitat, it has to partly depend on the cultivated crops, and therefore causing conflict, or it is degraded to the extent that it cannot sustain anymore with the available habitat or with the natural habitat, and therefore it is making such a situation, making the elephant or forcing the elephant or making a necessity, a compulsion to depend partly on the crop, especially female herds. Whereas in the case of male born in a non-crop riding herd, could still become a crop rider, as male, or especially the social organization of a male, disperses the maternal herd. Males disperses from the maternal herd at puberty and settle down in a new areas where it may joins with the other adult male, which is a habitual crop rider. Means this particular male, young bull, which is forming a bachelor group with a crop rider, will also gradually develop the human elephant coupling or crop riding. Thus, male from non-crop riding herd with the intact home or negligible area under settlement and culture, agriculture also learn crop riding gradually as a learned behavior, and crop with higher nutrition provide more energy than wild plants. Male elephants tend to indulge with crop riding as an optimal foraging strategy. Thus, males mostly raid crops to obtain more nutrition, unlike female that mostly raid with due to inadequate wild fodder, which is because of the habitat loss or fragmentation or degradation. Say, for example, like here I am talking about implication of range fidelity, spacing, hierarchy in habitat management. Say during the 20th century, this entire landscape was forested. You have private and revenue forests, which is there on the top, whereby certain clans are ranging. The clan one is exclusively ranging in private reserve forest habitat, revenue forest habitat. And then the clan one is partly ranging in the wildlife sanctuary and partly in the private and revenue forest. And clan 6, a majority of the range is falling under the private and revenue forest. This is what the situation during 20th century. And by 21st century, I'm just explaining this in a hypothetical situation. By 21st century, the private the agriculture and human habitation has been taken away the private and revenue land available outside the wildlife sanctuary area. And therefore now clan 2 and clan 6 have no, clan 2 has lost its entire home. Clan 2 lost its majority of the habitat, say about 95% of the home is lost, and clan 1 partly about 50% of home is lost, and clan 4 as well as clan 3 lost about 10%. Now in this scenario, what there is no clan that has lost a majority of the habitat, or no, the entire home to agriculture and human habitation will do. If you ask, probably the clan 2 cannot try to move towards the south, whereby the wildlife sanctuary is there. As I said, that clans, there are already many clans that are operating, and they are establish their home and their spaces out in such a way that they do not encounter other clans, and therefore clan 2, which has lost its home by 21st century, cannot move into the wildlife sanctuary, because this is already with a very high density of elephant herds and in this area, and therefore clan 2 has to look for some other area in a newer habitat in some other region. And similarly, the clan 6, which has also lost majority, 95% of the clan holds home range is lost, and therefore this clan also cannot try to squeeze in to the wildlife sanctuary. Similarly, the clan 1, which has lost about 50% of the home, cannot still try to live within the sanctuary, because it will have spacing and hierarchy with other clans, and therefore even clan 1 also most likely to look for a newer place without elephant, or a newer place with a low elephants in search of a new area. So they could just get compressed in case if they have lost very small portion of the area is lost to agriculture into the remaining habitat, or wander in search of a habitat that really may not exist easily. So this is why we are getting to see elephants from Bihar to Madhya Pradesh, approximately 46 people killed, had captured. Karnataka to Andhra Pradesh, way back in 1986, a herd of more than 40 elephants, more than 50 elephants moved, and 40 people got killed and settled in a newly created protected area called Kaundanya Wildlife Sanctuary in Andhra Pradesh, whereby the habitat unable to support human-elephant, the conflict continued to exist there. And part of the herd ended up in the East Coast, and the Tamil Nadu Forest Department captured some bulls from the East Coast and some of them from Vellore Forest Division, and they are there in captivity. Similarly, from Karnataka to northern Karnataka to Maharashtra and Goa, elephants in around 2002, there are a herd of elephant moved from North Karnataka to Maharashtra, and they ended up in partly in Goa, and some of them are captured, some of them are still in Maharashtra. Similarly, elephants in Nilgiris, a part of the study clan, out of the 3 clans that I have studied, one of the clan has shifted from Nilgiri North, Satyamangalam towards the Coimbatore division, especially the Anekati area, whereby after about 2 years, the female, which we have rarely collared, was also shot because it was involved in continuous intensive crop riding. The habitat is degraded, and therefore it was not able to sustain its food at the shifted new areas, whereby it was involved in crop riding, and it was shot by 1994. So therefore, we are getting to see elephants straying from one area to other area, looking for newer areas or newer habitat. In the process, they extensively damage cultivated crops of paddy, banana, sugarcane, and coconut. And also, they do cause human damage or human casualty at time. And in the process of their intrusion into the cultivated crops, farmers also at times go about shooting the elephant. And this is one of the young male elephant, which has been shot in Mudumalai way back in 1984. And it is being dispersed by captive elephant using the Mudumalai captive elephant in Mudumalai Wildlife Sanctuary. So there are elephants also getting electrocuted due to when they are entering into crop riding or when they are trying to disperse, and all these are happening. And hydroelectric project and pipelines are also passing across the traditional corridors are blocking the animal movements, and therefore we have some of the elephant landscape between 7 and 9 and 10 are blocked because of the hydroelectric canals. And there are in some places whereby national highway and the railway line is blocking the animal movement in elephant range number 10 in Periyar Agastya Malai landscape. So those are also some of the kind of this one conservation difficulties. Railway line across the elephant ranges or elephant landscape causing a number of deaths, especially northeastern India facing a major crisis from broad cage into the narrow from narrow cage into broad cage. When the conversion took place, a large number of elephants are getting killed by a train accident. So therefore, given the large body mass with the poor digestibility, a large social group, the long lifespan, and the resultant wide-ranging nature, coupled with the hierarchy and spacing of the species, and the range spread across protected area and territorial forest division that vary in their conservation status or priority, and the increasing human population above all, there is a high probability that human-elephant conflict is going to increase in future. It is unlikely to decrease. It is rather going to increase with all the increase in human population and the other factors like proliferation of exotic weeds and things like that. There is going to be an increase in human-elephant conflict, and therefore we need a better planning to mitigate the human-elephant conflict with the integrated land use practices, including more funding to Project Elephant like Project Tiger, so that habitat consolidation and corridor can be taken up. Invasive species like proliferation of lantana is another severe cause of human-elephant conflict, which can be controlled. And captive elephant management. Now today, if you take capturing problem elephant, bringing to captivity, captivity also facing major crisis of fund crisis. So captive management also needed to be given more support of funding, and we also need to have changes in our policy to captive elephants, to lease captive elephants to the Western world, so that we can overcome the problem of the human-elephant conflict. Otherwise, what we are right now dealing that we are diversing our limited funding towards areas which doesn't have a long-term viability in terms of a population or genetic background, and therefore areas with a long-term viability are receiving lower funds simply because of the conflict scenario is lesser. If the same trend continues on a long run, we will also be losing the viable area in future, and conflict is likely to increase in all the areas. And with this, I stop my presentation, and I thank all this State Forest Department of various region, especially my relationship with the Tamil Nadu Forest Department goes back to 1987. I specifically thank the Tamil Nadu Forest Department, and there are various agencies given me the funding for taking up these studies, and various institutions with which I have attached in the past for the 3 decades, which has given me the opportunity to learn about the elephants. And above all, organizers of this World Elephant Day celebration for giving me the opportunity to share my experience. So to personify the prehistoric beauty, theological relevance, and environmental importance, since 2012, every day, August 12th, we honor one of the Earth's magnificent creature with the World Elephant Day to raise awareness and create change to save the magnificent creatures. Conservation of elephant means conservation of the entire biodiversity, which is vital for our world betterment, and therefore let us conserve elephants. Thank you for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a wonderful session. So with your permission, shall we open the session for questions, sir?
No problem. More.
Participants, If you have any questions, please drop your questions in the chat box and I shall read it out to our speaker.
Okay.
There is also a hand raise option. So you shall raise your hands and then you can drop your questions in the chat box. A quick 5-minute session, sir. Sir, I guess the presentation was clear enough for them to not have any questions. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I know once again I take this opportunity to thank Tamil Nadu Forest Department, especially Advanced Institute for Wildlife Conservation, and Dr. Mr. Udayan for giving me the opportunity for sharing my experience. Thanking you once again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks.
So here's our next speaker, a veterinarian who has been working on elephants in so long, Dr. N.S. Manoharan, retired Additional Director of Animal Husbandry. Over to you, sir.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yes, sir, it's visible, sir.
I have to come full screen, right?
Yes. The screen is still short, sir. Maybe please put it on the slideshow, sir.
Yeah, I'll go. Shall I start or?
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Please start.
Is it on video mode now? Is it in?
Yes, sir. It's on full screen, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. Respected Additional Principal Chief Conservator of Forest, Director, Advanced Institute of Wildlife Conservation, sir, DFO, Deputy Director, Advanced Institute of Wildlife Conservation, Madam, Dr. Vasanta Kumari, the compeer who is comparing this program, and all my colleagues in AIWC, my dear participants who are spending their valuable time on this day in this webinar. First, I would like to say a very happy Elephant Day to all of you. By saying Happy Elephant Day, my previous speaker, Dr. Bhaskar, also told that by simply conserving elephant, you can the entire biodiversity, the entire goodness for human being can be conserved. So my topic today for the next half an hour. What is it? This is coming. The host has to start your video. It's already there, na?
Sir, your video is not visible, sir. Can you please turn on your video, sir?
Is it visible now?
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So after the elephant ecology, the topic given to me by the coordinator is human wildlife conflict. In fact, when Dr. Vasanta Kumari and DFO Madam spoke, they were telling that you have to share the present scenario wherein நம்முடைய பழைய இதெல்லாம் எடுத்து பார்த்தீங்க அப்படின்னா யானைகளை பற்றிய literature, if you just look at it, we had very good references in the literary world, and the whatever depictions which have been mentioned in the past, you will find elephants have been designated as one of the five gentle giant. They just represent gentleness, giant size, love, so many things. But in 2022 scenario, present scenario, a lot of interactions are there, but most of the time it will be negative in nature. So my topic for the next half an hour would be the negative interaction and the conflicting situation between human elephant on this day, World Elephant Day. So this is a general definition wherein if there is a competition between two species, especially the human and elephant, for the same resource at the same time, then there will be a interaction which is not pleasant. Even today, now I'm in DFO's room. There's information to Coimbatore DFO that a person has been attacked inadvertently by an elephant, and I think he's in a very critical condition. He has gone to the hospital, in fact. That is the scene in 2022. When I say elephants in captivity, even my previous speaker, he was mentioning that elephants are in free-ranging condition, also in captivity. This many of the frontline staff, probably for the trainees it will be new. This is how elephants came into captivity, by capturing from using pit method, by using Kheda method, by using Mala Shikar method, by also luring them into areas from where they have been captured. This is a basic technique by which they were captured. But this is also one reason why in their mind a negative impression about human being happened long ago. During the introductory remark, respected additional PCCSR director told that they have a good memory. There are many similarities between elephants and human being. One other important thing is their memory. When suddenly they fall into a pit where a sure-footed animal like elephant, when suddenly fall into a pit in their own home range, in their own ranges, that gives then the aftermath. After falling, people come and then they try to drive the herd members, the strongly bonded herd members, and then trying to take them out of the pit, taking to their own camp, and then training them to be with them, used for some other purpose. Maybe that elephant which is with the human being may have a different perception about human being, but those elephants which see the whole operation may have a different perception. That has gone through days and days, weeks and weeks, month and month, year and year. Now the present situation is they have a negative impact. Strongly, they have a negative impact about human being. I'll tell you, when I joined 30 years ago in the department, when a small sound like this sound will make the elephant to move away from the area. This is basic. This clap sound will make the elephant to move away from the site. But now even a cracker sound is not making them move away. In fact, they come towards the cracker sound. A phenomenal change, a paradigm shift in 30 years time. Not very long, I'm telling. 1990, what I saw, in 2020, what I am seeing. Present day, you can ask, apart from their wonderful service in the natural setup, their ecological services, which many times intangible, the tangible benefits. Apart from that, when they are in captivity, these are the basic, duties they perform. That is patrolling. Even among all the 52 tiger reserves in our country, Mudumalai and Anamalai always stand within 5 or within 10. That's because one important fact, apart from the view, wonderful service, dedicated service by the staff. Yet another important thing is the large, huge, wonderful contribution by the elephants in Anamalai and Mudumalai tiger reserves. So they have this patrolling, the basic biological senses, the basic abilities like the sense of smell, the sense of sound, keen way of observing things, keen way to understand the changes that is taking place. So one elephant, two elephants, Kumki elephants, 2 elephants in a patrolling team is like you have a 2 big team of army. I will say a big army sort of a thing. They can very strongly, very surely, very safely they can transverse into the forest area. So that is one thing with the captive elephants in our camp. Of course, all other things. This is with regard to the captive elephants. They have important duty in dealing the other elephants also. Weed removal also, yes, that's been used in some areas. 6th photo, if you find a single Kumki is able to guide the 6-7 elephants which have stayed out of the forest area, guiding them back. I don't want to say driving them back, they are guiding them back. Since they have lost or since their home ranges are not sufficient to meet their demands, they come out of the forest area and you need somebody, a biological friend, to guide them back to the forest area. So these are the basic duties. This has been already told by my previous speaker, Dr. Bhaskar. The present scenario in our country, you have only 7 lakh square kilometer area. In Tamil Nadu, about 23 square kilometer area are available in forest. And human population, you see, it's about 8 crore. And then we have a stupendous population of 10 million livestock in Tamil Nadu and about 600 million in our country. So this is ever increasing. This is ever increasing, whereas the given forest area is stagnant. So that is an important factor. Today morning when Madam spoke, DD Madam spoke, she told you have to take 1 or 2 important points. So as practicing forester, as practicing frontline officer, as practicing going to practice officers, the student community which are also in the seminar, you have to consider this point: population and the area. For today's negative interaction, you know that loss of habitat, quality, there is degradation of the forest, fragmentation, reduction of their home range, population increase, yes, human and animal population increase, loss of corridor. What is corridor? The very important connecting way between 2 ranges, their traditional migratory paths, impact of development activity, stochastic events like flood, drought, climatic change, and global warming. These may all look like, yes, many people are telling, and there are many literatures, everyday people are telling. But then I would like to take this opportunity this day for all of you to understand your own range. In your own range, you should know in which area, which part of the year elephants are comfortable, where they're able to stay longer. These fine details are very, very important for you to address the issue. Everybody knows that these are the major reasons for today's negative interaction or for a conflicting situation between elephant and human being, or with any other wildlife with human being. So we are phase to understand problems. We are in a phase now to address the issues. For addressing the issue, fine data are very much essential. Fine data means this fine data. So where do you find why an elephant is coming out of the forest area during a particular season? When it is not coming on a next season, why it is not coming? Where does it go? How does it manage its daily routines? What happens to the population? Is it increasing? What is the dynamism that is taking place? So that should be the way. So the whatever we have learned in the past 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, whatever we have learned in the past, giving us enough scope, enough data, enough knowledge to look forward 2030 and 40. For that, these data are very important for you to address the issue. We are in a phase to address the issue. So these are the reasons everybody knows. I'll tell you, many of us know, but you are the person to act on that. So when it is manifested from human point of view, because as I told you, many times I have told that except human being, all other species almost programmed. Programmed means, from last speaker, you would have found that he's telling this is the home range, this amount of food they will take, like 250 kilos per day, water is required, 200 kilos of food is required, they will eat 160 to 175 varieties of fodder, they need to move. All these factors we know because they are almost programmed. Except human being is not completely programmed. Is probably, I will say, every human being is different from others. Our feeding habit, our thinking process, so many things are different. So from human point of view, if you look at present scenario, that is 2022 human-elephant relationship scenario, if you see, from human point of view, those who are living along the forest area, who are living along the elephant ranging states, districts, taluks, villages, straying out is a problem. If you know elephant is going to come out of the forest area, straying out itself, it will give them a negative impact. Then they come out of the forest area, maybe for moving to one place to another, but majority of them, they come out of the forest area for crop riding. See, crop riding, straying out and crop riding, you should, Imagine the amount of socio-economic impact it is going to have, huge. And then the forest department and the frontline staff are look like the saviors. And you know the biological demand of an elephant. So dealing that, solving that, trying to find out immediate or long-term solution becomes really a challenge. So this is the take-home point. When they're staying out, crop riding, yes, we know they come out and they crop ride. What stage of crop they come, what type of crop they graze or browse, where all they just graze and browse, what are the changes during the grazing you find, and when they come out, when they go back, what is the impact of our presence. These are the important data which you need to gather so that future you're going to have a plan. So this is time to act. Once again, I'm telling you, my dear friends, this is time to act. So from these points which are known to us, we need to get final details so that we can plan for the future. So from human point of view, staying out, crop riding, property damage, yes, injuries, death, fear psychosis. Fear psychosis is one thing I tell you. Once you know that there is going to be an elephant, now people know that even a mere movement of an elephant may be highly injurious to them. So the fear psychosis, great impact on humans. And then socio-economic impact. After raising the crop for 10 months, 11 months or 9 months, having spent a lot of money on rising, putting nutrients from the crop, at the time of their yielding, at the time of the harvesting, when things are damaged, the impact will be really more. So that psychologically depresses a person to have negative impact on wildlife and elephants also. If you look from animal point of view, for their straying out, for their crop riding, it is not their mistake. They have lost their original home ranges. They have lost their original corridors. They have lost their original migratory path. Maybe the present generation may not be the reason, but it is not time to finding fault and who is at fault and all. It is time now to act. Once I'm telling, it is time for us to act. So how to address? So first, from what are the manifestation and what will be the mindset of these elephants when they come out of the forest area. So they have lost their home range, and their biological demands are not met by the ranges in which they live. They also adapt themselves. They also change themselves that these agricultural crops are also to supplement their regular crops. So that mindset of set in the present generation of elephants also. The older, I have seen populations when they're moving with older elephants, like 40 or 50-year-old elephants, when they see human being, they try to avoid. They simply avoid and get back to forest area, try to avail whatever is available in the forest area, try to settle down in the forest area with the available resources and avoid the conflicting situation, which they know that the conflicting situation will definitely impair many of their regular activities. It is not good for the population. It is not good for the next generation. So that the type of understanding, comprehension is there with the elder elephants. The younger population, 30 and below, because they have born and they have been grown under this kind of situation, they tolerate. They're able to tolerate and able to overcome the little human pressure which are being exerted on them, and then continue to do the staying out and the crop riding. So that negative reinforcement, we have to think of negative reinforcement to settle down these kind of issues. And then there is a behavior change. That's what I have just addressed now. Once they come out of the forest area, there is every possibility they get injured. Maybe in the railway line, maybe in the road, maybe in the well, they may fall down. They may be into electrocution. There is also possibilities of getting poisoned by pesticides and all. And tremendous stress. The moment it comes out of the forest area, now there are various methods to find out that they have come out of the forest area, and there will be pressure on them. So it is stressful condition. And eventually there will be local there is a possibility of inbreeding. We are finding now, more younger, sometimes in some area, we are finding calves and juveniles dying more. And from the postmortem findings and clinical signs and from the laboratory findings, we come to know that the general resistance is down and they have died of herpes virus infection, which we have not recorded. Maybe we have not recorded in the past. But the calf mortality also was very less in the past. Now the calf mortality is slightly on the rise. Calf and juvenile mortality are slightly less. indicating that it is a clear biological indicator that it could be one of the important reason could be inbreeding. So inbreeding depression is there, so resistance has come down a bit, and then probably they may face in the long run local extinctions. So that's what we are trying to say in that thing. So these are the probably this you will understand. So these are some photos taken in and around Coimbatore and elsewhere in our country to show that mining, quarrying, how does it affect the forest and also the migratory and these paths. This is another thing you can find a buffer zone. Many of you might be knowing buffer zone, buffer area, cushioning area. You might be knowing. If you just look back, probably I'm an older person with 30 years of experience, running 60 years of age now. I have seen, just after the reserve forest boundary, you will find Meikal Purumbok or grazing area, which will also act as buffer zone. Then only the agricultural lands will come. Then the village houses will come. Then you will have the villages. Then you will have the townships. This was a setup which I myself had seen in my own villages about 30 years ago. But now these grazing area, Meikal Purumbok, probably only will be in record. Those officers who are working in fringe areas might kindly try to go and see whether these revenue lands in revenue records, whether such areas exist. If at all, if it exists, what is the status now? That is a very important area, giving a cushioning for these wild animals to avoid direct contact with any other species other than the one which are living in the free ranging condition. Now there is no such area is there presently, probably I will say throughout the country. So they have a direct contact with the domesticated livestock, also with human being. Not at all the time it will be peaceful, and many times it will be on negative interaction only. And the domesticated livestock has got protection from the human being, so they tend to move into the forest area also for competing with the wilderness, for forages and also for water. And there is also possibility of exchange of vectors and diseases also. And plastics, I need not say, you all know that through YouTubes and so many other things, you will find that unnatural food like biscuits, so many things are also possible, which totally change their behavior. So this is the big challenge actually. The next generation of officers, next generation of students who are going to become officers, who are going to deal conservation efforts. This is the challenge which you need to always keep in your mind and try to address small. It is not insolvable. It is, you take it from me, it is solvable, because we have only created. There's always a possibility that you can address and then take everybody into confidence, address everybody, create awareness. You take it from me, it is always possible. There are many success stories also. So these are some of the scenarios which you would have seen, you would have heard, you would have seen in YouTube also. So the important traditional pathways, cushionings are all just affected, leaving there's a direct interaction between free ranging animals and domestic animal and the human being, making them many times they're tolerant and sometimes they're not tolerant. And these are some of the photos they've taken. And as Dr. Bhaskar has told, invasive species. By telling invasive species is not simple, because very, very important. See, in a range, if it is not only undisturbed, unless the range is having all the 3 tiers of plants, grasses, shrubs, herbs, and then trees, browsing, grazing material, if it is not available, it will be difficult for them to sustain in the long run. See, there may be 7-8 months of sumptuous fodder, there will be plentiful of fodder, but take the 3-4 months. Take the 3-4 months where there will be pinch period. There won't be there will be drought-like situation, but their demand remains the same. Kindly understand the demand of 175 to 250 kilos of fodder, 150 to 200 liters of water remain the same. It may not be available there due to many reasons. One thing is invasive species. So invasive species is one big challenge. The staff have to always think in their mind and think of innovative things. I have seen in some of the states, some other state I have seen where probably with some amount of liberty they were able to remove the invasive species, and then they have just removed it. the natural grasses that has come up, given a huge change in the behavior of the animals. Those states were holding more number of tigers actually. So tiger and leopard staying goods were there. Once these invasive species were removed and natural flora when it came, the prey predator concept, prey predator behavior itself they have changed. So these small changes in your own places will take you a good way forward actually. So these all these ugly crops will attract and railway line is one thing. But see here, here see you see on the left side probably it is taken somewhere in Assam or in northeastern railway lines. So here that biologically elephants cannot jump. So the mother will wait actually. The calf cannot jump. So calf will be struggling here and there, running on the platform here and there. So here our simple intervention or simple discussion with the railway authorities to have a slope. If there is a slope in the platform, both the mother and calf can go away. We are convinced why should I have a platform? They can move away, that side and come out. No, you are cutting across the forest line. You are cutting across the forest, so you have to facilitate only the animals which are going to use the area so that they have a smooth passage. So a simple intervention by the railway authorities, a simple interaction between two departments will solve the problem. Otherwise, you take it from me, if calf is going to stand on the platform, the mother will be standing on the line. Even if the train comes, it will be standing on the line, thinking that the train will move away. Its paramount importance is to save the calf. The mother may die. So this may be a simple thing, but we can always think such things can be addressed immediately. This is we know every day that elephants, when they come out of the forest area, there are many ways they can injure or they can die. Human being also, there is always immense immense potential danger is there when they go close to the animal. And see, these are the things. So here the railway cut. Here I just want to show you. See, here you see on the left side, these 3 elephants have died because this is called railway cut. Had the cut is not there, the elephants would have moved. So our recommendation to the railway other should be, you should not have the railway cut, those cut. You see where they dumped down. If that is not there, when they see the elephant, when they see the train, they could have moved up actually. So this is being taken up now with the Southern Railway Authority. So these kind of things are being addressed. Likewise, in your area, things, if you go in detail, go and study your area, probably you will find small tips where you can just address them and overcome such kind of difficulties for the animals. Snaring is there. Yes, by crossing roads. Sometimes, when they built houses, when you see the picture, then elephant may look like a villain. You may think, oh, see, these elephants are very bad coming and damaging. No, it is not that way. See, in their own home range, you find a house stocked with rice, jack or jaggery, something which is very attractive to them. Biologically, you know that they have very keen sense of smell. Biologically, you also know that they are very stronger creatures. They can damage these small structures just looking for the food item which is stored in the buildings. But whom to be fault, we have to think. So when in such cases come, probably you need to have a place dedicated to the colony. That area should be completely safeguarded, maybe with the EPT, maybe with the energy fencing, maybe with good caution, maybe with early warning systems. If sporadically colonies are there, sporadically people are present, anytime people move in a elephant range district or habitat, such things are likely to happen. So we have to probably address specifically the problems. And if once you taste success by addressing and then implementing certain things, then you take it from me, you will find more and more solutions. So this has been told already by my previous speaker, Dr. Bhaskar. But the one interesting fact which I like to tell you is the picture number 4. You find all the bulls, see all young bulls. These young bulls were taken in actually Satyamangalam area, crop riders. See, you find all the young bulls, you find all the young population. As I told you, those which are born about 20 years ago or 30 years, just 30 and below, they have been exposed to staying out of the forest area more and more. And they think that this is normal routine that they have to be supplemented with the agriculture. So this is the scenario, but we have to think of the next generation. The calves are the next population which is going to come in 25 or 30 or 35, we have to give them proper lesson. So we have to work towards that. All our plans should be towards that. One is Makna, all 5 are males actually. Same, it's actually. So this I have already shown you. So this is another thing I would like to tell my dear participants: cause effect, high risk, high gain concepts. So you know that. See what will happen if you do certain thing. What will be the effect? That we need to know. One thing, life cycle. You know almost now we know the life cycle of an elephant, but which is now changing. There is a behavioral change that we could always understand. High risk, high gain concept is, see, every animal, if you just leave an elephant for grazing and browsing, you take it from me, they will love to graze. See, browsing needs more energy, grazing needs only lesser energy, because they can put their trunk down and then simply scoop and then eat to the mouth. For browsing, they have to raise their trunk, pull down something, and then take away the leaves, break the branches. So it requires higher energy. So they will try to do only grazing. So this high risk, high gain. So when crop raiding in a smaller area, by taking small risk, if they can gain more food and more energy, they will take the risk. This concept you have to just understand. That's all. And then when you try, and in every incident, you have to understand. We have to analyze the circumstances. Why they come out? What happened to other population? Why they are not coming out? Those kind of things. In your range, if you have 40-50 elephants, and then only I'm talking only about elephants. I'm not going away from elephants. So if you have 40-50 elephants and only 20 are coming out, that you have to ensure. I can simply say 20 elephants coming out. For that, you require a lot of data. Only 20 are coming, or rotation basis, all the 40 are coming. If you know that, then how the remaining 20 which is remaining in the forest area survive throughout the year. If you know that, then you can, reinforce in the elephants which are coming out of the forest area. So that is one thing. So I think my time is up. So this I will go little fast now. Now there is always a demand. Now whenever there is a problem, human wildlife conflict. My topic is human wildlife conflict, and whenever there is a conflicting situation, negative interaction, more and more negative interaction by a particular elephant, then we think of there's a demand for capturing the elephant. But the options before us is, you can guide them back to forest area, try to give negative reinforcement, and try to confine the elephants within the area, confining by elephant proof trenches, solar fencing, watchtowers, and all these things. Containment measures, you can always contain the elephants in the own home ranges by improving the habitat, weed removal, all these things. And then always we have to involve the line departments. So these are all different. If all fail, then there is you should always we should also keep the option of taking them to captivity should be there, because I think AP sub-directors also will agree with me that forest department is always a savior. We cannot totally deny those. Sometimes they may need the help. See, this particular calf, we try to reunite with the herd, reunite with the mother. We want to leave it in the forest also. It is a juvenile, but yet it was coming out. So clearly indicating, and we did not even chain also. But you can see March 2017, so weak. By August 2017, in the camp, it gained, and then it's one of the finest elephants in our camp. So totally, taking them to captivity cannot be totally avoided, but to the maximum extent possible, try to settle them in the forest area should be our first option. Sometimes, like in situ itself, you can treat the elephant and keep it. And when you want to keep them in the forest area, in case you don't have a permanent kraal, then making a kraal itself is an art actually, the basic structure. This I just want to show you. It's not always that easy. This happened about a month ago in Coimbatore division.
Sure.
10 o'clock in the morning. See now everywhere there is shout. From where this elephant coming may not be known by the person who is trying to deal. See, our forest staff are there.
Hey!
Escape. God's grace, actually he escaped. So what I'm trying to say is, see, when this is the situation in Coimbatore. This is the situation in our country. I will not say in Coimbatore alone. This is the situation in our country, where the frontline staff are directly dealing with the elephants, which are potentially very strong. So we have to be very, very, well, I can say we can be cautious, but we have to avoid such situations. Everybody has to be in one. We have to think in one, so that such kind of direct dangers can be avoided. There are many operations, but these are all some of the measures which are being adopted to avoid conflicts, like this energized fencing, elephant-proof trenches, stronger fences. Whenever there is a river, you have structures like this. Then improve removing the exotics, and then developing grasslands and developing fodder plantations, providing water ponds for the elephants to remain so that they remain in the forest area. Try to have, instead of having physical strong unnatural fences, we can think of biofencing with Soramul, Cylindricopensia, E4 Trigona. All these things can be tried. Of course, the one which is in the town, we can see in developed countries, but it's not impossible. It is always possible, so that in the critical areas, to joining the two habitats, we can think of this, so that the human development is not stopped, and then animals are also using the they can use both the areas without getting affected. And then railway lanes, these are the ramps, which is very successfully done in Coimbatore division. Coimbatore DFO sir is going to address you next, so he will be addressing you more on this. So these are signboards, and you can also engage. Now there are many people. Now today, see, now I don't know how many of you are there, but then the amount of interest shown by various sectors of people, various stakeholders, is really increasing, really amazing, really appreciable. So whenever there is a request to be there with us to clean the environment, we have always seen very positive response from them. So those positive also can be used, and then all the stakeholders have to be addressed, create very good awareness. All the stakeholders also should be created good awareness, so that we all join hands together to save the giant species, which is not only for their benefit, it's also immensely for the human development also. So we also have the selfishness. I won't say selfishness, but by doing that, we are also benefited. Our next generation is also benefited. So that kind of a thing. Now I see a lot of positive attitude, positive development everywhere, actually. So these are all some of the landscape approach and population management, scientific and need-based researches have to be done. These scientific and need-based researches not necessarily has to be done by a very reputed institute. Every forest guard, every forester, every forest ranger, every veterinarian, every common man, everybody can. A small data, a small observation, you take it from me, will give you, a small observation will give you a lot of inputs, and then that can be practiced for the benefit of both the elephant and the human being. So considering the time factor, I have given some points on the human-elephant peaceful coexistences. And once again, I would like to thank AWC, APC sir, and Director sir, DD, DFO madam, Dr. Vasanta Kumari, and all the colleagues in the AWC and all the dear participants. Wish you once again a very happy Elephant Day. Join hands together. Every day we have to work. Every day we have to think, so that we can towards conservation. Small things will make bigger changes. We all join together to save the nature and save the wildlife. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for spending time on this valuable lecture in your busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir. With your permission, sir, the session is open to questions. Participants shall drop your questions in the chat box.
Speak on sir.
So there is one Dr. Boone. He's asking, what is the most memorable case with regard to conflict mitigation of elephant that you have experienced and is close to your heart?
Dr. Boone, very good morning. How are you? Yeah, Dr. Boone, there are many cases. One case I'll tell you, Dr. Boone. Dr. Boone is a doctorate holder. Is a real wildlife enthusiast. He's a veterinarian with a lot of wildlife interest. And he had been with us during a tiger capture also in Nilgiris. He was there. Dr. Boone, this is one thing he was while one of the elephant gored one of our camp elephant actually. One elephant gored our camp elephant. In fact, the momentum was coming down. So only with local anesthesia, myself and one attendant, we were under the belly of an elephant, using our legs to push the momentum. Because we were not able to push, it was just protruding down. You know how difficult it is to push momentum into the lower abdomen area. That elephant, the mouth was just sitting close by the elephant, and then completely it was cooperating. It was not even moving. A small step would have crushed us. I know it was a very painful operation. Animal was not completely sedated. It was only under local anesthesia, complete cooperation. I was in tears actually, because even human being cannot bear. Even for giving a corona injection, even there is not even a pain. Even for that, we make noise, close our eyes. That elephant was able to completely understand that these human beings are trying to do only good. Cooperation, amazing cooperation. Likewise, there are many other operations, but this one behavior was very close to my heart. I was able to understand how delicately they understand the other person's intention. Very, very beautiful, beautiful creatures. Thank you, Dr. Mohan.
There is another person, sir, Abita Rose. She's asking how climatic change has impacted the proportion of elephant population.
Yes, climatic change. You see, climatic change is a very important thing. See, they have, as I told you, they're most of the time they're programmed. I told you they're programmed. So they have set programs. During this time there will be rain. During this time there will be drought. So they set their migration and they move. When one of the recent studies, we have found that in 1 year, a radio called elephant in Chhattisgarh, the study shows that from Orissa, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand, it has traveled about 5,000 square kilometers in a year. The radio call study showed 5,000 square. I'm telling 2021-22 scenario. So complete migration. If they are migrating, maybe for colonizing an area, maybe for identifying an area, maybe to scrutinize an area, they're just moving. But they're taking into consideration the natural phenomenon which is likely to occur on a set time. But when that is altered, because of climate change, if rain is preponed or rain is postponed, drought has set in early, then the entire life cycle is getting affected. Climate change is one important. I'm talking only about elephant. Climate change has got an impact. So for us, it is important duty to mitigate climate change so that we can save all other living creatures.
Thank you, sir. There's another person, Nivedita. She has a very interesting question. She's asking what is the fact behind using beehives as a repellent for elephants. She's just curious to know how the giants are afraid of the bus.
Yeah, beehive, see, they have innate fear for the bee sound. Bees. One thing is, as I told you earlier, they're gentle giants. They don't want to disturb the beehive. They don't want to disturb the beehive. Not that they will harm them. They don't want to harm anything else, one thing. And then they are also dangerous to the calves. When the calves, they go on especially the mountain bees. Malathenin solvangli, the mountain bees, when they bite, they have fear the calves may suffer. So when they see the beehive, they try to avoid. When the farmers, it is a win-win situation. When they see the beehive, they will avoid. Not that they need to disturb the bees, have to come and bite them. They need to make a noise. There is also a theory that this is not very successful because bees may not be active during night. These elephants come out of the forest area during night only, so the beehives may not be of much impact for the straying out of elephant. But it is having definitely an impact when the socio-economic condition of the farmer at the fringes will be benefited. It's a natural way of making the elephant to avoid that area. They will avoid that area. So it is a win-win situation actually. It is a natural repellent, I will say, with benefits both farmer and also they will drive the elephant away from that area.
Sir, Dr. Boone has replied that your work is amazing. and your experiences are helping the fraternity grow.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Boone. Thank you.
And there is one, Ms. Padma, I hope you know her. She says they've been fortunate enough to work with you. And she says there are no questions, but it is nice to see you share your field experiences.
Thank you. Thank you. So nice hearing from you. Thank you, ma'am.
There's another question, sir. There is Dr. V. Priyanka. She says, if there is a policy to engage CSR funds in elephant habitats improvement, because that can pump in money to improve elephant habitats.
CSR fund?
She asked if there is a policy to engage CSR funds in elephants habitat improvement, because
Yes,
that can
yes.
pump in money to improve elephant habitats.
Definitely, ma, definitely. I tell you, see, there are very, very good people now. I have very positive thinking about human being. I think our future looks very positive actually. There are very good natured people who are willing to contribute. CSR really, if you exactly say what you want to do, and this is the thing we need to do. CSR, I think CSR will not be a problem. Getting fund through CSR also will not be a problem. I think department is also will go to the general. So it is a very good question actually. CSR funding can be used. Forest Department also is open now to use the CSR fund in the right way so that people and in general wildlife and the co-exist so that our environment is protected not only for the present generation and also for the future generation. This awareness is getting more and more among the people. There are a lot of positive reaction from them. A CSR fund, yes, is a very good option. Back to screen.
There is another question from our own veterinarian.
Yeah.
Why a group of elephant is not dangerous than a single moving elephant, she's asking.
See, group of elephant, madam, you should understand that, as I told you, there will be a tutor. There will be a tutor, there will be a teacher, there will be a mother, there will be a friend to tell to do certain thing, not to do certain thing. But when it is alone, that too when it is young, it may not have learned the entire art of living in the forest area, entire art of dealing a human being. That's very important. What is the intention of the herd? What is the intention of these people? They will not be able to understand. See, for an elephant to understand completely what is happening around and comprehend the thing, analyze and come to a decision, there need to be a certain amount of maturity. See, I have seen elephants which are about 35-40 years old. When a forest jeep comes, the camouflaged jeep comes, and a person gets thrown from the jeep with camouflaged dress, and when they shout, "Yana, po, go," like that, they're able to differentiate that. They stay calm, spread their ears, watch for some time, gently move. But when people of different dresses come, white vesty or something, when they also do like this, they sense some amount of danger in that. So their way of behavior is slightly different. So single elephant, they may not have anybody to guide, will be comparatively more aggressive for self-defense. It may be dangerous also. Group of elephants, they try to move away. They know it is their presence is not liked. It is not for them also to be there. So they will simply move away. But the elephant with the calf is again potentially dangerous because the entire herd will try to protect the calf. Yes.
Thank you, sir. There is a person from TNFA asking if there is any sex ratio related issue in these days.
Now, when I joined, the department 1990, about 30 years ago, the population dynamic, the population ratio was, it's about breedable male to female was about 1:40, 1:50. And in some areas, breedable male to breedable female used to be 1:70, 80 in some areas. But in the last 35-40 years, because of the concerted effort by the forest department, dedicated work by the department, various rules, regulations, acts, implementations, cases booked, verdicts, there's a good protection. The population has naturally, they have come out, resilient population, it has come out well, and the survival of the males are much, much better. The 2018 census showed that throughout the country, the male is to female ratio is 1:6.5 or 7, 1:6, and in some areas it is 1:3, and in some areas it's 1:2 also. Very good perceptible positive change that has been seen in the last 2 or 3 decades. The male to female ratio.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Padma ma'am. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again. Thank you, dear participants, for the wonderful interaction. I wish you all the very best on this day and all your personal and official life also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank
Good
you
day.
so much. Moving on to our last speaker, the person who has been dedicating the past 12 years of his life to forests and wildlife, Thiru T.K. Ashok Kumar, DFO Coimbatore. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. Sorry for the trouble. Good morning. I'm Ashok Kumar, now working as a District Forest Officer, Coimbatore. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You're audible.
It is already, we are running out of time. I will quickly go on this. My screen is visible?
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. Elephant is such a wonderful animal, and not only as a, it's a giant animal, but also it is considered as a ecosystem engineer, and the role is incomparable, cannot be substituted by any other animal in the wild. So that's why it assumes such a huge significance when compared to other animals. Like tigers, like other mammoth animal, it is still more than that. The role, what it plays in the ecosystem is more than that, and the contribution towards conservation of forest by the elephants is immense, and it is worth to celebrate and worship this animal, conserve this animal for the cause of nature. Might be these.
Can we please have this presentation on the slideshow, sir, so that it's more visible?
Yeah, that's. Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I think these details might have already been discussed, and we have more than 28,000 elephants in India. Tamil Nadu, we have some 2,761 elephants, and occupying 4th position in the entire country. in terms of population, but we need to work a lot to conserve this animal. Recently, the government have announced a fifth elephant reserve, Rasthirmala Elephant Reserve, comprising forest areas from Tirunelveli Forest Division, as well as from the Kalakkadu Mudanthurai and Kanyakumari Forest Division. And this is one more attempt towards conserving this animal. See, in terms of now we are watching the elephants in terms of conflict only. We are because whatever the conflict we are coming across by the elephants it is not tolerable by the people who are living around. Earlier they were coexisting, but however, because of the various reasons, now the conflict situation makes this species vulnerable for victim of such conflicts. This is since January 2001, we had a record of elephant straying incidences in Coimbatore Forest Division. Just have a look how many times it is coming out and how many places it is coming. So the number of elephants coming out in a day varies from 7 to 12 numbers in a day in Coimbatore Forest Division. We are working very hard, and we are devoting a lot of our time in managing the conflict situation and managing the straying elephants. There are many reasons. Let us see. This diagram shows that the red point shows that the places where the elephants are straying. So it is not a single place, or it's not a single region. It is moving around. It is coming out of the forest area all along the boundary. Earlier, these areas were of much development activities and mostly farming activities. Otherwise, they were fallow lands and did not have much development activities. But the population is growing, and the area required by human is also increases, and in a way the fallow land, uncultivable land being cultivated, and the residences in agricultural area are also started coming, and here it is an inescapable position we are facing, and that's why it leads to why it is happening. There are behavioral changes. Initially, elephants are coming for only for certain period of time. Let us say when it was in pregnancy or in gestation period, who want to have the mother elephant like to have a milky stage of millets. So that's why they used to come on that particular time, and otherwise there won't be much problem for crop damage. But now some of the elephants are regularly visiting. There are regular crop breeders and occasional crop breeders, and sometimes very rare kind of migratory elephants. They never know the developments happened, but they want to traverse across the traditional migratory route, which they were traveled some 20 years back, 30 years back. That's why the problem is coming, and this conflict situation also because of loss of habitat. As I said, not only the forest area and also the adjoining area is also considered as a habitat, because they were using these places for their movement as a migratory route. And because of want of space, now we are cultivating and clearing those areas, and we are ultimately ending up with conflict. And then habitat because of various reasons, and also the human intrusion for entering into the forest area for excursion or estate works, some resorts, we are crossing the traversing the forest area and also cattle grazing. Then what happens, that area will slowly, fertile area, I mean, the wood forest is slowly degraded by invasion of weeds. These lantana is an important invasive weed. Here we have more than 3,000 hectares in our Coimbatore division alone. But when we take into account the entire forest, it is more than that. I mean, it's, more than 40,000 hectares in the in our entire Tamil Nadu is invaded by I mean alien species like Sophis, Lantana, Equatorium, Parthenium. So where government is now planning for a special policy for getting rid of this invasive weeds and how to improve upon this improve upon the habitat of the elephants, not only for the elephants but also for the other wildlife. And other important factor is we have a lot of road network nowadays. Initially, it will be some 3 meter width. Then slowly, based on our need, we are widening it 5.5 meter. Then it will be further widened. Then it will be 7 meter width. So what happens? The animals they have to cross the frequency of vehicle movement also increasing. Just in a color, I mean, in Ooty, Mettupalayam to Ooty road, earlier only some 2,000 vehicles were moving. Now, if you look at more than 5,000 vehicles are moving. If you look at in the month of April, May, it will be more than that, 2 times that. So not only in the daytime, but also in the night hours, their vehicles are moving. And these roads are crisscrossing the corridors. Kallar corridor is here in Coimbatore division, and that is highly disturbed because of this vehicle movement. And the elephants could not able to cross the area, and it is taking alternate routes. Finally, we are ending up in conflict situation. And another important factor is the change in land use pattern. I will just give an example of Tadangam Valley. Tadangam Valley is known for Sanganur watershed. It's a very important watershed, and in the Kasturirangan report also it has been identified as an ecologically sensitive area. However, that area is very good for resource of raw material for brick making, and there were a lot of brick kilns were happening illegally. Fortunately, by the intervention of Honorable High Court and National Green Tribunal, now all the illegal brick kilns in that area has been closed, and the elephants are made to move freely in their own land. And the important aspect here is that we come across at least 4 to 5 elephant deaths in this particular area, Tadangam Valley. Because of this particular action, the human death in the particular area has been completely brought down. So that's how we can understand by this example that how the habitat, the land use pattern determines the conflicts and also the challenges we are facing in conservation of elephants. And as I said, development activities in migratory routes. We have a lot of migratory routes. For example, in Coimbatore division, we have 13 identified migratory routes and 2 identified corridors. In these corridors, what happened before we are understanding that these are all the migratory routes and corridors. A lot of development activities have already happened, and just what we are doing is we are not allowing further development works to happen, such as resorts, educational institutions. It will become a building, I mean, the bottlenecks for the elephant movement, and they will be channeled in a very narrow path, that too disturbed with vehicle movement. And that's why ultimately we are facing the problem in protecting the elephants. And another important aspect, why we are facing these challenges in man-animal conflicts, that retaliatory killing. Why it is happening? The tolerance level, threshold level, they already have gone. So once that tolerance level is reached, I mean by the tolerance level of the public, local people, farmers, then they are even going for a very extraordinary venture, I mean attempt for electrocution and the usage of bait bombs. This was happened recently in Gulambati range. One female subadult elephant aged about 8 years succumb to the this bait bomb. Actually, it is intended for wildlife, I mean wild boars, but sometimes it is consumed by the elephants also. But that poor elephant could not able to eat after this explosion of bomb in its mouth. It could not able to eat for 3-4 weeks. Then finally, when we were able to identify this elephant, that it was weak and treatment is necessary. That time the elephant already lost I mean the energy, and although we have tried, but we could not able to save that animal. It fell for victim of that bait bomb. So we are trying to make I mean awareness programs, and also we are looking the sources of where they are getting this crude cracked materials for making this kind of bombs, I mean bait bombs. And we're also doing a lot of joint patrolling with EB department officials in all the vulnerable areas where the elephants frequently stray out. And we are also sensitizing the local people not to go beyond 9 to 11 volts, that too of a pulse current, so that if at all the elephant crosses, there won't be any any untoward incident happens to the elephants. That's how it is going. And also I think the challenges when we look into in conserving elephant, it is very, I mean, a long sight vision, and we need to have a very long foresight. But most of our energy, if you look at field level, most of our energy we are putting in mitigating the present conflict scenario. Whether are we able to completely able to manage this, or to some extent we are managing it. Every day we are looking for new approach strategy towards this mitigation. Whether we have very good strategy, that we have to review ourselves, we have to retrospect our action taken on the mitigating the conflicts. That has to be, and we also go for technology in mitigating the conflict issues. And nowadays we are trying to use our alarm systems, early alarm system, and mobile app, which help connecting the people, local people, and also use of drones in very unique situations. That's how we are managing. And manpower, it is still a debatable one, whether we have required number of manpower for mitigating. Yes, we have, but still we need to have capacity building for these human resources with the forest department to the challenges what we are facing today. We have 12 anti-depredations teams, and each with some six to seven anti-depredation watchers headed by guard and watcher or forester. Sometimes they will move around in the night hour. We have a dedicated night team. We will see in the next slide. And whether we have infrastructure required, we are using the vehicles. We are using only limited number of drones, whatever are available with us. and we are using the torch lights. Now there is a regulation from the Honorable High Court that use of crackers in driving the elephants. We have a very limited scope of using the crackers, and otherwise we have to use other methods of creating some noise and directing using lights, and also requesting the local people, I mean where the elephants to stay in their houses, not to venture out. So that way it is being managed. Apart from this, we need to have ensure the participation of the local people. Otherwise, all our attempt will become futile. And we are working on it every day. We are improving upon it. We are listening to them. We are also taking their ideas and views. And also we have a WhatsApp groups. There all the local farmers also included. They will also sharing information on the straying elephants and other crop damages or whatever information in relation to management of the conflict situation. And another one is the compensation, ex gratia, whatever the losses as per the government rules we are providing. So this how we are managing. Is that enough? And we are not. We should not be complacent, and we have to go think of further, and we have to improve upon it. This is about the mitigation measures we are taking. This red color in the left side map is high conflict zones. That is Mettupalayam, Sirumuga area, and then this Coimbatore Tadagam Valley that I mentioned, and then Bolampati Valley. And these are all Noyal waterside area. So these are all the very important areas where we are facing a lot of conflict incidences, and their identified locations based on the data so far we have accumulated, and we have as I said, we have dedicated boundary night patrolling teams. There are stationed at 12 substations. Their phone numbers are available with the local people. They are connected with the local people by way of an WhatsApp group. Not only the local people, but also other department officials like RD department, revenue department, police department. Officials also there in this group. The information of conflict situation is being shared, and it is being further communicated to the field staff, or they move to the spot, and then they will drive away the elephant to the forest area. That's how it is working. We have very good teams of anti-depredation watchers, and we have a rapid response team. There we have a toll-free telephone number. We are getting calls from all the corners in the district, and we are communicating immediately to the concerned teams. If the team is very close by, they themselves move. Otherwise, these 12 teams will be, the concerned team of 12 teams will be informed, and they will move to the spot. And then we have a sniffer dog, and we have a railway track in Solakarai beat, as well as near Itimadai beat of Madhukarai range. There we have a dedicated railway track watchers, and we are sharing information with the railways, and we are managing the preventing the any untoward incidences. So these elephant, since 2008, we come across 11 deaths, 11 elephant deaths in this track. In Solakarai beat, it is running for 2 A line and B line are running, and it is 4 kilometers in length. But still, although it is very small forest area, but elephant is allowed to use this area because it is very plain, very good fodder is there, and it is connected with the Valaya River, then to Palakkad forest area. So it is an identified migratory route for elephants. Here we have to monitor it. Otherwise, it will become very worse. Situation will become unmanageable. So we have a team of track watchers, 19 numbers, and 12 members work in the night hours in both the line. For they will be watching throughout the night. It's a watchtower, and they will stay some time and they will move around. If at all they come across any movement of elephant, they will immediately inform to the railway officials. That will in turn inform to the loco pilots, and the loco pilots they will on continuously, and they slow down the train. If required, halt the train also. That's how it is being managed. There is a regulation now brought in based on the mutual understanding and the continuous meeting with the railway officials that night hours only 45 km per hour they are using, and the daytime they will go for 65 km per hour. But still, we are looking for a very detailed, scientific approach toward this challenge. That artificial intelligence based surveillance system we are looking for. Government have already sanctioned funds. We are working on it. Soon we will bring out a very foolproof mechanism of watching these elephant movements and preventing any untoward incidences. We have ramps and watchtowers. There are certain places where regularly elephant crosses. There made ramps, and we are also monitoring by way of how many time in a year it has crossed. Now we have since 1 year we have collected a lot of details, and the ramps are, one ramp is used for more than 25 times. Out of 102 times it has crossed by anywhere in these tracks. So that's how we are now having a good database also. That's why we could able to analyze this, and we are working on further measures to prevent any death of elephants in this area. Although challenges are many, we have to work for sustainable conservation of elephants for the future. That include definitely the improvement of the habitat. We have to restore the habitat. That the department is working very seriously on this, and the invasive species will be removed, and in that place native trees will be planted, and the government is very keen on this. We are working on it, and the regulation of land is very important. Adjacent area where it is known for elephant movement, it has to be the land use pattern has to be monitored, and any blockage in these areas will definitely end up in problem, because many places the forest area boundary ends with a slopy area, but so elephants normally prefer a plain area. So if the adjacent area is plain, then always elephant tend to move that plain area to go to other place. Coimbatore Forest Division is located in such a place, in between very big landscapes. Northern side we have Satyamangalam Tiger Reserve. Western side we have, northwestern side we have Mudumalai Tiger Reserve, Nilgiris Forest Division, and apart from this, in western side we have Nilambur Forest Division, Silent Valley, and then in the south we have Palakkad Division. All these connected. This area is known for migratory area for these elephants from one area to another. So the nature of animal also like that, it has to move for a long distance. So it is many a times it is using the area adjacent to forest area, because as I said, it ends with a slopy area. Animal doesn't like to negotiate in the slopy area, so it generally moves in the plain area. So further development in nearby forest will definitely affect the movement of the easy movement of the free movement of the elephants, and it will turn into we'll try to negotiate in other areas, new areas. Then definitely we will be in trouble to manage the situation. And in Surumugai and Mettapalayam areas, if we see the cropping pattern, very close to forest area, we have a lot of banana plantations. So it is actually an invitation for elephants to visit those areas. So naturally, the crop raiding by elephants is very common there. If you look at the various crops damaged by elephant in Coimbatore, the banana comes first, then comes the coconut, then comes the sorghum, then comes the other millets, sugarcane, and areca nut, other vegetables. Otherwise, banana is the big attractor for the elephant. So we need to look for some policy kind of decision in this for cropping, deciding the cropping pattern adjacent to forest area where elephant known to move. Further, it is also the restoration of migratory routes and corridors. As we discussed earlier, there are 2 identified corridors in this Coimbatore Forest Division and 110 in entire country. And those areas, the Ministry and the Wildlife Institute of India have come up with very good models and designs for linear infrastructure, so that if at all it crosses the elephant area or corridor area, the design, improvised design, modified design, that will facilitate the movement of the elephants and will not hinder their regular free movement in the corridor areas. So that kind of things we have to see, and ultimately we need to have a more compassion and tolerance towards the elephants. We have to speak with local people. There are ways to coexist with elephants, and best way to conserve elephants is to coexist. Otherwise, it will be very difficult in future to manage the situation. And for that, we need to have a continuous awareness programs and continuous speaking with the local people, and continuously exchange our ideas and methodology, strategies, so that the further conflict can be understood by the people, and as well as by the implementing officials. Then in that way, it will be very suitable to coexist together. I think I made a small presentation for all the participants here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. With sir's permission, the session is now open to questions. There is actually already a question, sir. It's from a forest range officer, answer you. To create permanent structure for the forest boundary line. He's saying if it's like a heavy steel fencing or dry stone wall or any permanent structure are provided for forest and wildlife safety.
Yeah, it is mandatory where we have residential places very close by. We have no other go except to have a physical barrier, permanent barrier, to limit the elephant movement within the forest. Otherwise, if it is an fallow land or a pasture land or cultivated once in a only one season in a year, then such kind of physical barriers is not required. Let be allow the elephant to move across. If any damages happens, it can be compensated appropriately, so that that the elephant will not be affected, and as well as the forest also will improve.
Nivedita is asking, is there any penalty or punishment fixed for the loco pilots in case of an elephant hit with a train hit?
It is highly debatable one, and this time last November, 3 elephants died in Madurai railway track, and we have booked on wildlife offense against the loco pilots, and we have seized the speedometer, and we have submitted to the court. If the speed was more than the agreed terms, then they have to face the legal consequences.
There's another question, sir, from Ms. Peeta Rose. She's asking why the elephant population is good in southern states while compared to the rest of the country. And if you can recommend some books to know about more about elephants.
There is one book called A Rite of Passage. There, the entire country where the bottlenecks in elephant conservation is given, dealt very vividly, and I think that will give a very fair idea about the elephants conservation in India.
And she also asked why the elephant population is good in southern states while compared to the rest of the country.
Southern state is more. Yes, it is because of the efforts taken by the government, public, all together towards the conservation of this.
Good to know that we are one step forward in the conservation of elephants.
But we should not be complacent on that way. We have to still work.
There's another question from our own doctor, Dr. Asantha Kumari. She's asking whether there are any successful bioremedial measures followed by the farming community. If so, what was the resistant interval of those bioremedies?
For elephants, we have tried for honeybee keeping in tribal hamlets. Some 29 tribal hamlet has been tried, but it was not very successful, to be frank. Now in the research center in Petikuttai in Mettupalayam, we have tried with this rail cully and also with other cactus in 2 layers. Some of it is, useful. Significant in controlling the elephant crossing this. But still, we have to work along. For wild boars, they have some successful deterrent solution prepared by Virinjipuram Krishi Vigyan Kendra. And there are methods like chili powder, we say in Tamil varatti, made of the dung, that is mixed with this chili powder and allow it to smoke for time. It will last long for even 5 to 6 hours. Then if we are very confident that the elephant only crossing the one particular area, there such things can be tried. But still, that kind of patience and to follow up is very much required.
Dr. B. Priyanka is asking if we can collect some green service tax from the resorts and education institutes who are placed in the migratory routes, because they are the ones who are going to enjoy the benefits from these animals.
Yes, true that it requires some policy level decision. So let us say in as I said, this Mettupalayam to Ooty road, Nilgiris district administration is collecting a green tax while entering the Nilgiris district. So that is being used for conservation activities and other indigenous people development activities. But there is any legal backing is not there.
There's another question, sir. The person is asking, what is the maximum age of elephant you have seen in your experience?
Maximum age of in the wild, it is around 55. 55. When it crosses those areas, the teeth will become very old and they cannot eat fully. So then it slowly tend to starve, and then that's how it happens. One female elephant in Saptur area, around 55 years age, was mostly staying in the one farmer land. So we were just following it up. It was not harming anybody, and because of the age, it died. It was around 55 years.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for spending your valuable time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to AIWC director, thanks to deputy director, and also the AIWC team for this wonderful opportunity. Because of my workload, I could not able to prepare much, And however, I just shared my experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I thank all the speakers who have participated with us on this occasion, Elephant Day. So I now request our veterinary assistant surgeon, Dr. Vasantha Kumari, to wrap up the session with a word of thanks. Over to you, ma'am.
So I'm very much privileged to deliver this vote of thanks. First and foremost, on this occasion of Elephant Day, and to commemorate this beautiful day as a conservation program. We just started with this webinar. So I'm very much thankful to our own APCCF and Director Thiru Udayan IFS sir, and also Deputy Director ma'am, Dr. Kanchana IFS. These both people, they constantly supported us to proceed further this program, and even the topic for today's program, everything A to Z, they just contributed and gave a constant support. And next comes our research team. As a whole, I just want to thank everyone, each and everyone, and the administration team who kept on keeping the follow-up of each and every speaker's list and delivering the letters to them. Thanks to them, and also the range team for their constant support in technical issues. And also, I would like to thank Kamba team for their technical support, as well as Aringarana Zoological Park for live streaming this program in YouTube. Thank you so much. And finally, the participants, thank you one and all, and just keep supporting us in all our future endeavors with your participation, and also all others directly and indirectly who just helped us to make this event a success. Thank you once again.